History has indeed been marked. America has its very first female presumptive nominee for president of these United States from a major party. On one side being celebrated for breaking another glass ceiling, another side still excoriating her as a liar and someone with blood on their hands. The real question is this someone truly worth celebrating under any circumstance? The mood is less about celebration, more about damage control for the man she will face in November. Republicans from the top floor on down are growing a spine when it comes to Donald Trump, telling them what he will do and how they will follow. And there's serious fears that this time he has indeed stepped over a line from which there is no turning back. So then we have the inevitable and still smoldering attacks from both candidates. Bombshells being promised, broadcast ads that bring up moments that no voter should ever forget. And one man who has now been handed his walking papers but refuses to give up the fight. A battle some believe will make Chicago 1968 look like a love-in. Your phone calls and comments are not merely encouraged, they are demanded. Part of the only network news program that gives you a global forum. And that does not give one darn about playing favorites. I'm Ed Berliner. This is The Hardline for Wednesday, June 8th, 2016.
The honor to lead the Republican Party to victory this fall. We're going to do it. We're going to do it, folks. We're going to do it. I understand the responsibility of carrying the mantle, and I will never, ever let you down. Too much work, too many people, blood, sweat, and tears. Never going to let you down. I will make you proud of your party and our movement, and that's what it is a movement.
We've been here before. Then again, this is at its core nothing more than another political season where men and women of every stripe and every level of supposed believability are doing everything they can to prove to you, the voter, there can be no other possible choice for the next person to take your wants and desires forward into a brave new future. Donald Trump has said before that he will become more presidential. Overlords at the Republican Party have said now several times they hope that will happen, because that is what needs to happen if they are to win the day in November. But there has perhaps never before been such a collective holding a breath inside the Beltway, waiting for what they fear will be the inevitable, that the presumptive nominee will go where he wants, when he wants, and refuse to tread a well-worn path to victory. On the other side of this somewhat warped and questionable coin, Hillary Clinton has told us all before how she will lead, how she is the only one with all the experience. And even in the face of history, Democrats are asking themselves, is this really the best we can do in making history? You will be a part of this conversation. You will have your say, and you need to get on board right now. Prepare to be on point when called. 1-877-Newsmax, 1-877-639-7629. That's where we're lining you up right now, because this dog is going to start to hunt. Our first guest understands these wars more than most. Former Texas congressman for more than 20 years, former Republican House Majority Leader, a staunch and powerful conservative. Welcome Tom DeLay to The Hardline. Tom, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
For having me.
There you go. We had a little problem with your audio, but we got you right there. Let's get started right from the top here, Tom, because this is what everybody is talking about right now. Senator Mark Kirk, the Republican from Illinois, said he is unendorsing Donald Trump for president. And then today, Scott Walker, who at one time said that he would support him, he would support Donald Trump, pledged his support. He is now speaking, this time with WKOW in Wisconsin. Even he walked back his comments. Here's what he said.
It's just sad in America that we have such poor choices right now. He's not yet the nominee. Officially, that won't happen until the middle of July. And so for me, that's kind of the time frame. That in particular, I want to make sure that he renounces what he says.
Now, here's the real question, I guess. Are we seeing a groundswell now moving against Donald Trump? Do you believe this is the beginning of many, many others saying that they will back off their support?
It could be. It could be. If Donald Trump doesn't change the way he's acting and change some of his policy, Republicans, particularly the 60% of the Republicans that didn't vote for Donald Trump in the Republican primary, are starting to stand up. And they understand that this time next year, we could all be very embarrassed if Donald Trump is president.
But, Congressman, what about this? we still have the people sitting on the right, Republicans, conservatives, who say we must unite behind this man because the alternative is something that we simply can't think of. As a matter of fact, Paul Ryan held a private meeting today of the House Republicans. Even he, the guy who said that Donald Trump's comments were a textbook definition of a racist comment and completely unacceptable, said we've got to get behind him. So where do we cut this? We've got to find a difference here somewhere. Somebody's going to win this war.
Well, first, let me say, Ed, what Paul Ryan has been saying is he'll sign our bills. You don't need a Republican president to sign your bills. We proved that in the 90s with Bill Clinton. When we took the majority for the first time in 60 years, we set the agenda. In fact, Bill Clinton did not get to sign one major bill that he initiated for 6 years. The House drove the agenda. The House exercised the power of the purse. So this whole notion that, gosh, we can't get anything done unless we get Donald Trump as president is just bogus. You got to stand up and have a backbone and fight for what you believe in. Secondly, this whole notion that for instance, Hillary will appoint a terrible Supreme Court. We don't know that Donald Trump won't support a terrible justice to the Supreme Court. Therefore, Congress needs to stand up. Congress confirms these judges, and the Congress needs to be prepared that no matter who's president, they're ready to deny anything but a strong constitutionalist nomination, and use the checks and balances that are afforded to them to stop this lawless Supreme Court and judiciary.
So let me then get to exactly what you said here. You said you don't need a Republican president to sign bills, which is very true. In your opinion, then, seeing what Donald Trump has said, seeing that there are people already pulling back from him, and again, in your opinion, should there be others who should at this point pull their support, stop worrying more about the down ticket, stop worrying more about what they can do for the country, and worry less about putting Donald Trump in office?
I couldn't have said it better, Ed. We need to think about the country. We are at a crossroads. You know, before this election even started, I've been saying we are at a crossroads in this country. We're either going to go towards the secular socialist agenda that we've been on for the last 50 to 100 years, or we're going to turn around and be a God-fearing constitutional country and move in that direction. And I am just sick at my stomach that we're not having that kind of debate right now. Both parties standing on principle and let the American people choose which direction we're going. So we have, at least right now, what I'm doing is I'm standing up for conservative principles. What I'm doing is calling for a revolution for the Constitution. And what I'm doing is working for candidates below down the ballot below the president, so that we can have people in the Senate and the House and the state legislatures and governors that can stand up to whoever's going to be president. What I know right now is the next president of the United States is going to be a person with no character, no principles, no faith, no understanding of the Constitution, or doesn't like the Constitution, and we better get prepared for it.
You make it sound so attractive. 1-877-Newsmax. 1-877-Newsmax. Randy from Baltimore, Maryland. Randy, we are talking here now about the possibility that people should pull back from Donald Trump and they should worry more about those down-ticket races. And you just heard Tom DeLay say it, worry more about the nation instead of Donald Trump. What do you think?
Hey, good evening, Ed. Thanks for having me. I'm calling from Baltimore now. I mean, my whole thing about it is this. We can't get away from Donald Trump because he's basically stealing the show. I mean, he's created a whole fiasco of this whole ridiculous thing. The comment that he said, even though he might have been speaking from, quote unquote, from the heart or how he felt, he has no diplomacy. He has no, he has no cut cards. He just plays it straight up. And it was racist because you're talking about people like they're rag dolls.
Okay, let me stop you there, Randy. Let me stop you there. You said it was racist. So here's the question. We only have a short time here. You said it was racist. So then, is Tom DeLay right? Should the American voters pull back from Donald Trump, worry more about other things, worry more about the country than worry about a party?
I think if you're on the Republican side, you just heard Paul Ryan. You heard him. So, of course, there is racism. They should pull away for the sake of the country, not for this guy's entertainment. He's going to use the economy as his own personal bank account. And the guy's dangerous, man. When he goes over those dealing with these different countries like North Korea and South Korea, I'm telling you, these guys are not, he thinks he's going to get along with Russia. You know what happened to Bob Kraft when he went over to Russia and showed President Putin his ring? President Putin took it off his finger, put it on his finger, and walked away with
Well,
security.
I happen to know Bob Kraft very well, and there's still a lot of issues about that story that we haven't heard yet. But, Randy, thanks so much for your call. You've started us on another tack here. Tom, let me get to this. Another Tom Friedman, wrote an article in the New York Times yesterday that talked about revamping the Republican Party. It has many people talking right now. My talking to just we're discussing here right now. Here's what he said this morning on MSNBC.
Here's my bigger question. What fun is it to be a Republican lawmaker today? If everything you believe in, you have to, or many of the things you believe in, common sense things, you have to bite your tongue. I'm a huge believer, John, that people listen through their stomach. They don't listen through their ears. If you connect with them on a gut level and they think you're serious, they will follow you. But I watched that senator, if you're bobbing and weaving and doing all of this stuff, they can smell it. And whatever they identify in Trump, they identify with someone who they think is talking the truth. And as I said in that column, the reason, they voted for Trump is exactly what you saw this morning with that senator. They think these guys really don't care about anything. It's just a comm game. They just want their seats. So why not have Trump? Why not have the entertainment?
All right, now I've only got about a minute left. We're going to take a break, and you're going to come back after the commercial break, though, talk to more folks here. But the article was called Dump the GOP for a Grand Party, and the big line here was, seriously, someone please start a new Republican Party. Is that the answer?
Well, I never agree with Tom Friedman, because in his article, what he was talking about is he wants a more liberal Republican Party. And the new Republican Party, in his eyes, would be for everything that we're against. But I do agree with him that the Republican Party needs to stand on principle. And they need to. Donald Trump is nothing but a mouth. Listen to what he's saying. If he becomes president, he's going to raise the minimum wage. He's going to raise taxes. Doesn't even care about cutting spending, much less downsize the federal government to a constitutional government. And I could go on and on and on. Use lawless authority as a president to go after companies that are making market decisions. I mean, that's not Republican. It never has been. It's certainly not conservative.
All right. By the way, you do realize that you've got a lot of people angry saying this, don't you?
Oh, I'm sure I do.
Okay, we're going to give them a chance to get in here and talk to you about it, too, because it's odd. There's a lot of people out there who agree with this, but there's so many people who actually take things like what we're talking about right here, and I've heard them call it treasonous. Hang tight. Get on the line, everybody. 1-877-NEWSMAX. 1-877-NEWSMAX. Congressman Tom DeLay will return on the other side of the break. We have just now gone a little right, but we also got to turn a little left when we come back next, because there's this question about history and Hillary Clinton. Because, frankly, I'd even talked to some people on the left today who've said, is this the best we can do for history? 1-877-NEWSMAX. 1-877-NEWSMAX. The hard line continues.